Maybe they really want the old super spot. Oh! That's funny. Oh no! There he goes. Well, first one on the old super spot. Up by the rocks. Switch to a 1/2 ounce. Okay, okay. Purple chartreuse, maybe that's the deal. The super spot also has a different sound to it. I was using the one knocker before. A little louder rattly in this dirty water maybe. It feels like an underspinny day with sun, wind, stain to it. Came back for it. All right, well, second little dude on the lipless. Boy, he's cold too. All right, skinny little guy. That was a switch. I didn't have anything on the other one. Switch to the old purple and chartreuse spot. One of my favorites. All right, well, there we go. Next fish of the day for me. Switched over to an underspin. We switched spots. This place is a little bit cleaner water. Little dude, little Debo dink. On, actually not the underspin, that's the overspin. First Gen Lures top spinach right there. Put a little bluegill Kitech on it. Ooh, almost lost me hat. As I just said, almost lost my hat. I flipped it backwards, thinking that would save it. That did not save it. Still lost my hat to the wind. Ah, yeah. Now it's nice and full of sand for me. Love that. Oh, I got off. Another one in the grass. I've had a few of these little dinks grabbing at it. I've seen probably 3 or 4 come up and swipe. Got him. Not a beast again. That is a certified Debo dink. But it is another fish on the little top spin. Fish are just kind of coming up out of these little pieces of slimy moss patches and just grabbing it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where the big ones are at though. Another Brutus. Boy, I tell you, we're finding the big ones on this thing, boys. He got all of it. There we go, another dink. Dinktastic episode, folks. That's a look at it. I was hoping maybe we'd have some bigger fish grabbing at it, but been all little dudes. That little top spin, I don't know what color that is, like the pearly white, then that bluegill Kitech on there. Some in a pack. Are you underspin?
Yeah.
I'm overspin.
Yeah.
Oh!
Tankosaurus.
That's what I've been catching on him. Dizzle following my lead, catching the dinks. We're in the dink pond. All right, I'm gonna keep walking on the other side. See if I can catch some. You suck. It's because it fell in the water and I just put it on backwards. Do you not see it blow off of me trying to catch it? Another. I mean, it's still a beautiful day out catching some fish. It beats sitting home eating Doritos. Right, Randall?
It's a donkey.
Donkey. Pretty little guy. Look at them colors. So pretty. Another monster. Another one. Huge. Only the biggest fish out of this place. You would think this is my own stocked pond, the size that we're catching, but no, it's public. All right, fishing friends, lessons were learned on this trip. Don't get discouraged, because I guarantee you've all had days just like that, right? You go out, you spend 6-8 hours fishing, you catch a few dinks. It's like, what's going on here? Well, listen, I learned 3 big things. Number 1 is fish will relate to anything where they feel safe and can ambush and eat. So for example, in the pond where I was catching them on that topspin, every single fish that I caught was relating to those large pieces of algae, matty, grassy type stuff, right? There was no big rock piles. There's no big, trees, unless there's stuff out in the middle that I can't see. I'd have to drag a jig or a Texas rig or something like that to find out. But for the most part, every single fish that I saw came up out of one of those clumps. It kind of created a canopy where they could sit down inside of it, next to it, and come out and ambush. And I get asked all the time, Debo, I fish a pond that's like a fishbowl, right? It doesn't have these big trees. It doesn't have docks. It doesn't have all these things for fish to hide in. Well, what should I focus on? Well, that's a perfect example. Grass lines, grass patches, or moss patches like that. Stubby, I'm filming a video. Look at this. Filming a video, and he decides the best place to be is right here under the tripod. Make yourself at home. Anywho, fish don't need a big, huge, crazy spot to hide. Those pieces of moss were perfect, and I want to try to get back to that pond. I've only fished that place a couple times, but want to get back there with something like a weighted wacky rig or a fluke or a weightless stick bait and focus solely on those pieces. Not, fishing all the other open water and stuff, but throwing that, or, if it's topwater, a popper, something around those to focus on those specific areas. And again, I've talked about it before. If you're short on fishing time, focusing on those high percentage spots. That's where I caught them. That's most likely where they're going to be. Okay, tip number 2 is use those days for conditions. Though you might not have caught the big fish, it could be a time of day thing. It could have been the place you're at. Maybe that place only has a 2-pounder is the biggest in there, right? Use those days as learning opportunity, because later that night I went out, it was very similar conditions, and you'll see that there's going to be a whole separate video where I went to a different spot a little bit later on and caught the snot out of them on that topspin. Those days where it's not super cloudy, gloomy, a little bit of ripple on the water, where I would normally, be like, oh, perfect spinnerbait day. Something a little finesse on those days, where you've still got the wind to break up, the top of the water. Clouds were few and far between that day. It's not like I had a ton of cloud cover, so downsizing and going to a smaller spinnerbait or an underspin or an overspin. Randy caught a bunch too at that pond, and he caught them all on the underspin, right? It's just a finesse swim bait. Heck, we probably could have caught the heck out of them on swim baits too, as clear as that place was. I tried a jerk bait. Jerk bait didn't work at all. All it did was catch the moss. But use those days as learning opportunities and try different stuff. Try things that you think, well, I felt like today was going to be a jig day, but I'm not catching on it. Try something a little bit different. Don't get, upset or angry if you're not catching on it, but it doesn't hurt to try and switch around. So always be ready to adapt. Listen to conditions and try those different things in that time, because you might be surprised. The third thing I learned, I said I learned 3 lessons. Number 1, every spot you fish might be different, and what those fish are relating to can be different. Could be, logs, cover, could be docks, could be, grassy, mossy patches like I had. Number 2, be ready to adapt. Don't be afraid to try some different things. I know people go out and get so stuck in their ways that, dude, today should be a jig day, and that's all they take, and then they don't try anything else, they don't catch anything, go, man, they weren't biting today, it was stupid. I could be like, dude, I was fishing the same lake, and I was throwing a spinnerbait or something else and caught the heck out of them. Happens all the time. The third thing I learned is, Randizzle's still a bully. Oh, there we go. Randy, I was just talking to him saying my GoPro wouldn't work. I needed a battery, Randall.
Yeah, kind of like that one time your HHR battery wasn't working in your fob. You didn't take the little damn security battery keeper plastic thing off of there.
Shut up, Randy.